What's up guys, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today we are carrying on with our championship score predictions. The international break has now technically concluded. The championship returns tomorrow and honestly I am so excited to see what we are going to be unraveling in the next couple of game weeks or so. As always guys, make sure you leave your score predictions in the comments down below, as I'm always interested to hear your thoughts on this weekend's championship games. The prediction league is in development. It will be updated and posted to you sometime in the weekend probably, but trust me guys, I am really trying to make sure it's going to be done to the perfect amount that it needs to be done. So to be a tiny bit patient, it will come back. I've been quite busy, but I've got my exam out of the way, so I've been a lot calmer, and hopefully that might reflect in better predictions. You never know. If you guys love what we see, please smash the like button. It really does help. Please do hit the subscribe button if you've not done so as well. So we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. And please also share the channel as well. All three of these things are free to do, and they really help. As always guys, I really appreciate your support. But without any further ado, I think let's get started already with our predictions for week 5. Game we start predicting this weekend is Hull versus Sheffield United. This game will kick off tomorrow evening, and I'm quite interested to see the outcome of this one. Hull are within a small handful of the teams still looking for their first win of the season. It's been a pretty difficult start for them. Although they have picked up a couple of draws here and again, they've not picked up the wins, and they did conclude their 4th game with a defeat against Leeds United, and quite honestly didn't really offer much of a glove on them, unfortunately. Sheffield United, on the other hand, actually ended their first 4 games pretty darn well, actually, and I think they got their best result of the season in their last game, beating unbeaten Watford within their last game, and it was a real battling performance by the Blades, but they have shown, Sheffield United, that they are going to be a tough team to beat with 2 wins and 2 draws in their opening 4 games. So you've got a Hull City side looking for their first win, and you've got a Sheffield United side looking for their first defeat of the season. So if it's typical championship fashion, we'll see a first defeat for Sheffield United and a first win for Hull. But realistically, I think based on the options that both squads have and how I've seen these teams perform, I'm a little bit more confident with Sheffield United to go through with the 3 points here as a prediction. I think I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Sheffield United. I think it will be quite intense, but I think Sheffield United will have just about enough quality to get over the line. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next to predict is Leeds going up against Burnley. So both of these sides have had pretty medium starts of the season. The thing is with Burnley, they looked pretty unstoppable in the first couple of games. Then obviously we had a bit of controversy. Well, not controversy, but we had disturbance on their part within the transfer window. And since that disturbance, they've not won a game since, with a draw and a defeat thrown in there as well, with their latest result going up against Blackburn. Leeds have actually recovered pretty well. They started the season with 2 draws, but then they managed to recover 2 wins in a row, and now are seeing them in the top 6 currently, and they will be eagle-eyeing that 2nd place position, and potentially will be hoping that Sunderland start to slip and they can start breaching a gap for them as well. And certainly the ambition for both of these sides is to go to the Premier League. Obviously, Leeds wanting to try and get back to the second time of asking. Burnley will want to go straight back up after being relegated from last season. But honestly, it's a tough one. I do see Leeds winning this, but something's telling me with the options that Burnley have, they can easily match Leeds in most departments on the pitch, I find. So I'm a bit undecided whether if Leeds will win comfortably or if Burnley might shock them here. So I might go for something in between, and I'm going to settle this with a 1-1 draw. I think it'll be a pretty boring result, but I do think it's going to make things rather intriguing to see how well both of these sides will perform against other similarly well-performing teams. So I think it'll be a draw. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up is Millwall going up against Luton Town. So Millwall have slowly but surely recovering their season. You know, they're not in a great position, but they picked up one win, which was certainly a crucial win to get just before the international break started. It gave them a little bit of breathing space from the struggling pack. Luton are within that pack, who are still looking for their first win of the season, and it's not looking particularly great for them. The only point they've picked up so far was a draw against Portsmouth, which actually I would dare say was a good battling performance considering they were down to 10 men for most of the game. But that's been the only other point of the season. The rest of the games that they've played have all ended up being in defeats. And I know Luton have not had the easiest sort of games, and I'm pretty sure the fixture list will ease up for Luton quite substantially in the past couple of games or so. But I gotta say, the warning signs are there that it's a side that maybe we just need a bit of an adjustment period to try and get a good run of form in. I think Rob Edwards has really got to be mindful about how he approaches his next couple of games or so, because quite honestly, with the ambitions of Luton, you know, obviously, you know, they're not the biggest club in terms of size, but certainly with them being a Premier League club last season and now having parachute payments, they're going to want to try and utilise it properly. I will be interested to see if Victor Moses makes an appearance. They recently announced the signing of Moses, which I thought was a good throwback after I associate him quite a fair bit with Chelsea. As a prediction, I'm quite undecided here. I think it'll be low scoring, and I think it'll be Millwall that actually might squeak something here. I'm just not seeing enough for me that Luton are going to bounce back. I could be wrong, and this international break could have been the best thing that Luton could have had, because then they could regain their momentum and maybe attack the season. You know, that might be what happens. But based on what I've seen with both these sides, I think Millwall was starting to get somewhere, whilst Luton are still kind of struggling to find that. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to Millwall. I don't think there'll be many goals, but honestly, if Luton don't pull this out of the bag soon, it could be quite, you know, dangerous for Rob Edwards at the moment. But let me know what you think in the comments. Next up is Oxford going up against Stoke City. They're both sides that actually have started so much better than I expected both of them. They are both in the top half of the championship with a good amount of points on the board, really. Stoke have averaged out 2 wins and 2 defeats in their opening 4 games. Oxford, the same as well. So they're both on 2 wins and 2 defeats each. Both sides are still yet to draw a game in this season. I think Oxford especially has surprised me more, because I think a lot of content creators, and including myself, maybe have been a bit naive of a lack of experience in that squad. I think they recruited very wisely, bringing in some players in who maybe had a bit of a point to prove to play at this level. I think, you know, something like a Matt Phillips signing, I think is quite underrated on their part, but I've got to say, it's the League One performers who have been doing great. Mark Harris and Cameron Brannigan, who've been linked with Championship clubs for so many years, they've stuck it out with Oxford, and they are really delivering the dividends for them so far. Scoring loads, conceding quite a bit as well, but they are ultimately giving us a treat right so I've got nothing but positive things to say about Oxford at the moment. Stoke have been doing okay with their start of the season. I mean, their wins have come against Coventry and Plymouth. Both, you can arguably say, are kind of struggling so far this season. And the defeats that have come to them have come against sides that, you know, maybe they could have offered a tiny bit more. But in hindsight, for them to be in the top half of this stage is great, because Stoke don't typically start the season all that well, actually. So it's been quite a positive start for them, and I'll be intrigued to see if it continues. As a prediction here, though, I don't think I've predicted an Oxford win yet, and I think Oxford at home have really got something quite good about them. You know, they've got wins already against Norwich and Preston. I could see them getting a result against Stoke as well. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Oxford. Why not? You know, I feel like I've got to predict Oxford 3 points at some point, and maybe not everyone's going to be going to do that. But for me, I think they can carry on their momentum, and they'll probably now lose their highest margin now that I've just jinxed them. But I feel like I need to give Oxford the respect they deserve. I'll at least predict them for a win here, and I'll see if they can deliver. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next up, we're going to Blackburn versus Bristol City. Both of these sides, again, have actually given me a little bit of positivity, but especially Blackburn Rovers. They are 5th place in the Championship currently. 2 wins, 2 draws. They're still yet to lose a game. And I'm telling you, 8 points the opening 4 games, I think could be really crucial for Blackburn. And I'm not seeing too many warning signs that they're going to be dragged into any sort of perilous danger at the moment. You know, they've lost some big talents in Gallagher and Schmodix, and they've just coped with it well. And Arashi and other transfers they brought in just naturally filled in the places so effortlessly with a point to prove. So, whilst I think a lot of people are quite negative with Blackburn, I was actually one of the few content creators to predict them to survive this season, but I thought they would survive quite narrowly. But they're really proving a lot of us wrong at the moment. I know it's still a long season, we're only at game week 5, so I'm not getting too carried away on their chances, but they've certainly given me a good impression. Bristol City have been okay. You know, they've only lost 1 game so far this season. I do fear of them that they could be drawing too many already. They've already drawn 2 of their opening 4, and it could be one of those ones that Bristol City do look quite promising, but they just don't have that killer instinct to really go ahead against a lot of these sides. So I do feel Bristol City are forming something quite exciting, but I just think it needs a couple of games and a good streak of form for them to start to propel themselves up the table, because I think a lot of the fundamentals are there. It just needs to be one of those games where the attack clicks and then they can stick with it. Prediction here, I actually am inclined to predict Blackburn to win this one, but something's telling me that Bristol City are not going to make that easy for them. And I'm actually going to go for a draw and a high-scoring 2-2 draw. I've been predicting a lot of high-scoring games with these two sides because for both ends of the pitch, they've been scoring but also conceding loads as well. So I do think we'll see more of that here. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next up is Derby going up against Cardiff. Both of these sides have had different starts of the season, but they've been happening to sides which I've never really expected would actually happen to. So Derby has started the season so much better than what I expected. They're in the top 10, and the reason for that is that they've picked up 2 wins in a row at home. They're going to make Pride Park a difficult place to get points at, and they've really already proved that already with their recent performances. I mean, to get a win against Middlesbrough, I know they really were under the cosh for a lot of that game, but to still get the 3 points is massive. And then they blew Bristol City away. I was just singing my praises on them, but they blew them away by 3-0. Derby at home do look really, really confident and strong. Now, on the flip side for Cardiff are languishing at the bottom of the championship so far, also with 1 point, which was claimed in their South Wales derby against Swansea. But the other games they've lost, and their most recent one, a home defeat against Middlesbrough, where actually Cardiff are looking okay in spells, but again, it's just lacking that killer instinct to get the other side into some significant pressure. They are not scoring enough goals, Cardiff, and because they're not scoring enough, they are not putting enough teams under pressure. And Derby here, with their perfect home form so far this season, I think they could actually breeze through this one. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a Derby 2-0 win. I'm serious. I do think Derby have the capability of winning this one, but not only with a win, but with a clean sheet as well. They're still not conceded at home either in the championship. Cardiff's point of view, it just continues their really poor start of the season. I think it's their worst start in over 30 years, actually, in a single season. So Cardiff certainly got a lot to do. Let me know what you think in the comments. So next, we were just talking about Middlesbrough. Then the next team we're going to predict, they are up against Preston. So both sides in pretty opposite ends of the table currently, at least. Preston actually occupying the bottom 4 with only 1 win so far this season, which is against winless Luton Town. Their other games have really shown the vulnerabilities of Preston defensively, at least this season. And what I've been a little bit let down by is Preston's lack of goals too. So certainly Preston are a side which are underperforming based on the squad they've got. Now they've got the manager to back it up in Paul Heckingbottom. I would expect with his experience of the championship to start turning things around. And I think it did look like that they were going to do that when they got their win against Luton Town, which was Heckingbottom's first game as Preston boss. But then it kind of crashed back down to earth again when Oxford beat them. It was by 3-1, and I was a little bit disappointed with Preston that when they did get that goal back, that they didn't really put Oxford under any more significant pressure, but Oxford really blew them away here. Middlesbrough, starting off with this season, they have that frustrating defeat against Derby to look back, but they've actually started the season relatively positively with 2 wins and a draw alongside that defeat. So Middlesbrough looking pretty good at the moment. They're 7th place, so a win here could potentially put them within the top 6, which is quite exciting for them currently. Certainly the expectation, I think, will be to be up there again. I think certainly the expectation was to do that last year, and they didn't do that. So the pressure's going to be on. But as a prediction, something's telling me that Hecky Bottom might start working on Preston, trying to be defensively tough to break down. And I actually think Middlesbrough will really struggle with it. And I've just got a gut feeling that it's going to end as a 1-1 draw. I can see Preston getting something here, but I'm not brave enough to predict them a win. So I'm going to go for a draw. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up to predict is Plymouth going up against Sunderland. Again, both sides, opposite sides of the table. Plymouth currently in the bottom 3, still looking for their first win. They've picked up 2 draws though within their games, and actually what I will back them is that I think their home form have looked, a lot better. I mean, their performances at home look so much better than their away performances so far. They're facing a Sunderland side who are looking pretty good at the moment, I can't lie. It's 4 wins in a row. They're the only side still with a 100% record at the moment. They did concede their first goal, though, against Portsmouth, but regardless, it was a really, really solid performance again. And I'm thinking, is there anything that can stop this Sunderland side? And I feel like the one thing that maybe could stop them is if any side has pace in terms of trying to hit them on the counter-attack. But there's such a roundness to this Sunderland side that's actually making teams struggle to break them down, which is actually quite intriguing with how Reggie Labrie has struck that perfect balance within his first couple of games already. As a prediction here, if it's going to be anything like what we've seen before the international break, I think it's going to be Sunderland picking up the win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory to Sunderland. I can see them winning relatively comfortably on scoreline, but I think Plymouth will have spells where they'll put them under pressure. But let me know what you think in the comments. Next up is Portsmouth going up against West Brom. So Portsmouth still looking for their first win of the season, but despite that, they are within 18th place position, and they have played some really tough teams. And the tough teams don't end there for Portsmouth, who are facing West Brom, who are currently 2nd in the table, still looking for their first defeat of the season. They've won 3 out of their 4. The only game they dropped points was their home draw against Leeds United, which by no means is a disgrace at all, really. So I do think Corberan does have his critics, but what he is absolutely doing is getting the maximum of his squad. And I think you do have to give him so much credit for that. Portsmouth, I'm still waiting for a performance where I'm thinking that they can certainly survive. But again, I'm trying to not look at it with rose-tinted glasses because I am being made aware that they've had such a horrendous start to the season in terms of fixture difficulty. It does start to get a bit easier for Portsmouth later on down the line, but certainly in terms of an opening 5 games, if you look at the average position in the table, I mean, it's absolutely insane what Portsmouth have had to deal with already. So I think they've dealt with at least 3 within the top 6. In fact, I would argue say 4 of the top 7, because Middlesbrough they also faced recently as well. So it's been a really, really tough start for Portsmouth, and I'm giving them recognition of that. But as a prediction here, they have struggled on the most part to get points. So I'm going to go for West Brom to win again, and I'm going to say 3-1. And I've got to say, Josh Maja is standing out to be quite an important player this season, and maybe he might get 1 or 2 goals in this one. So I'm going to go 3-1 to the Baggies. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up is Sheffield Wednesday going up against QPR. I've expected both of these sides to play a little bit better for what they did. But Sheffield Wednesday lost quite heavily and quite poorly against Millwall. So they didn't really give enough praise to Millwall when they picked up their first win. They demolished Sheffield Wednesday on the scoreline by 3-0. It does put some intriguing pressure on Danny Rowell at the moment, because I think certainly with the way that Sheffield Wednesday have been playing, you would have expected them to start a little bit better, considering the momentum they had last year. But clearly it's not been quite as smooth as a lot of content creators and fans have expected. QPR, I think, are slowly but surely starting to crank the screw and start to really attack the season. They got their elusive win away from home against Luton Town to really kickstart their season now. They're sitting now in 12th place position, and that's only by winning 1 game, because they've actually drawn 2 others, and they only lost in their opening game of the season. So things are now starting to improve for QPR, and with Sheffield Wednesday, it peaked when they beat Plymouth by 5-0. They were top of the league and really dancing and celebrating, but now all of a sudden it's gone a dramatic fall from grace from first all the way down to 20th place in the table. So I think certainly the confidence that they exuded in that game, they need to really try and bring that back up, honestly. But as a prediction, oh, it's so tough, honestly. But I might go for a 1-1 draw here. Still not too convinced that QPR are going to be picking up too many wins. They've drawn a lot of their games, to be fair. I think with Sheffield Wednesday, they certainly will be going for it, but I think they'll just fall short here. So let me know what you think of that prediction in the comments. So next up here is Swansea going up against Norwich. So one thing I'll say about Norwich, they picked up their first win of the season, which was an away win against Coventry. So they did well to finally kickstart their season. With Swansea, they lost out in their last game against West Brom, but they have started actually okay, I think. You know, they're 16th place. They're not really setting the season alight at the moment. I'm definitely keeping more positives than negatives with this Swansea side so far this season. They're certainly performing well, but not necessarily getting the results that they necessarily deserve. But I think now it's going to be a very interesting matchup here, because I do see Swansea playing a little bit better at home. And it wouldn't surprise me if Swansea take the lead, but then I'm thinking and reminiscing to when they were so comfortable against Cardiff, and then Cardiff tweaked some things, and then they got, you know, back into it. So I do think it's going to be interesting tactically to see if Norwich could go through this. Now, as a prediction, again, I'm a bit undecided, so therefore I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. It's probably me playing it a little bit safe. Maybe one of them could do enough to get one goal over the other, but I'm going to play it safe and go for a draw. Let me know what you think in the comments. Final game to predict, guys, is Watford going up against Coventry. So certainly one of these sides has started the season better, and that is certainly Watford. Although their unbeaten run came to a crushing end against Sheffield United. I mean, they were really off the back foot, really, for the get-go with how that game unravelled to them. So I do think it was just one of those bad days for Watford, and it'll be interesting to see if they can still move on with that similar momentum that they picked up in their opening 3 games, and whether they can brush that aside. Coventry have not started the season well enough, and I think a lot of the fans are aware of that. They've only won 1 game so far this season out of 4, and they've lost 2 of their 4. The last one being a pretty poor one against Norwich, who at the time was still looking for their first win of the season, and to lose at the CBS Arena in the way that they did was quite shocking, really. So they'll be wanting to try and rectify that here, but against a Watford side who have started as well as they have, I really do not see, unfortunately. I think the problem with this Coventry side, by the looks of things, they're not looking up, but they're looking too confident in front of goal. I think the transitions need a lot of work as well. And just some basic communication, I think, throughout the whole side is missing as well. Watford, for me, look a little bit more calmer on the ball. They look a little bit more organised. They look like they more or less know what they're doing. And therefore, as a prediction, I'll be predicting Watford to win. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to the Hornets here. But honestly, it might be an interesting encounter. I think Coventry certainly have got the individual star quality to really make things interesting and difficult. But I think Watford as a team will prevail here. Let me know what you think in the comments. So guys, that is my score predictions for week 5 now concluded within the championship. Please make sure you comment your predictions in the comments down below if you want to get involved in the prediction league. And I'm more or less intrigued to see what you guys are thinking going into this weekend too. So that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please smash the like button if you have enjoyed the video today. Please do hit the subscribe button, and please share as well. All 3 of these things are free to do, and they really, really do help the growth of this channel. You guys are legendary for showing in this video, and as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.